we were just enjoying the music. It was like, oh, it's our time. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I know that was a little complicated, but it was really great. I don't know if you watch NCIS New Orleans, but I love the entry to that because it's just like this boom, boom, ba-ba-ba. Oh, it's great. Okay, we're all refreshed. It's Easter. And I drew the straw of the topic, the Lord is my shepherd. So you may hear some Jesus in this. Huh? Hallelujah. Amen. It's that kind of day. Because we all know what a good shepherd does. I Googled it. No. Watches over the flock, makes sure they have food, makes sure they're healthy, makes sure they're happy sheep. No. But the flock of the good shepherd is us. And I call my good shepherd infinite intelligence. Some people call it God. Call it what you want. But to me, infinite intelligence means we live in a spiritual universe. God is in, through, and as us, everywhere present. We're individual souls, and I love that understanding and that reminder because we have our own mind, we have a body, we have freedom, we have intuition. That's that place where we connect with God, that intuitive place where we listen closely. And we have the ability to express ourselves and express the attributes of God, some of which are peace, power, beauty, and joy, which are great things to express on Easter. And we also know that the spiral of life is forever upward. It's always upward into eternity. And that's why we trust life, fully trust it. But we trust it because there's no power in the universe that wishes us ill. It would self-destruct. So there's no power that would wish us ill. Life is good, God is good all the time. There's what is that? There's no spot where God is not. And so this morning, if you didn't come in thinking that, I hope you leave thinking that. So I found this wonderful Easter poem, but I had to alter it a little bit so it fit my talk. But the original author was Helen Steiner Rice, and she wrote, God gave us eyes to see the beauty of the spring and to behold your majesty in every living thing. We see in lacy leaves and every budding flower the hand that rules the universe with gentleness and power. In this Easter grandeur, this spring lavishly imparts an awakening faith from faded flowers that have been lying dormant in our heart. We have ears to hear, and then we hear the springtime song of birds. Isn't it wonderful this time of year to open the window and hear the birds? They have messages more meaningful than often our empty words. Today we dispel anxiety and fear, and we let go of dark despair and bring our thoughts to love and joy, knowing we are always in the shepherd's care. So we're in good hands. So I brought this little Japanese maple, this little branch of it, because I love these tiny leaves. They're so tiny, and they have these little tiny seeds that are red. It's just an exquisite moment when it first blossoms to me. It's the best time of year, and in spring, don't you feel fresh? You breathe the air, you just feel a sense of freshness, of newness. And so that's the time we take to celebrate the birth of life around us. And when we do that, we see the divine expressing everywhere. Easter is also a time when we reflect on the death of Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. And Ernest Holmes wrote a little book called Seminar Lectures, several of his lectures. And he wrote, "For every death there is a resurrection. This is the way of life. It's the way of evolution. No one can become resurrected to love and still carry hate. It's impossible to do." A student of his by the name of George Bendall wrote this about Easter. "The great truth about Easter is not that you and I are going to live after death. Rather, the teaching is that we can renew ourselves right here and right now by the power of resurrection in our mind. Many people don't believe that the only resurrection was 2,000 years ago and it never happened again. But it's really a symbol. The resurrection of Jesus is a symbol of the recurring resurrection and transformation in our lives. And in the whole universe, when you think a few billion years ago, fish, animals, eventually humans, when you think of all the children here that in the blink of an eye will become adults, when the people who walk through here find and grow into this expression of Christ consciousness, that's evolution. But it's also evolution of the soul, and it's an ongoing process. It never ends, fortunately or unfortunately. We keep saying, take classes. I took all the classes. No, there's more. There's always more to know and more to be and more to express. Bendall also wrote that the tomb we impose upon ourselves is just as tangible and just as real as the tomb that they laid Jesus in and rolled the stone across. Because in our lives, it can be a tomb of limitation, a tomb of disease, a tomb of unhappiness, a tomb of frustration. And sometimes there doesn't feel there's any way out of that. We don't feel any way out of that. But we have to roll away the stone. The stone is in our mind, and it seals us from God's love. The stone represents our fears, fear of trusting in the greater and higher power. Looking at the world today, do you trust it? I totally trust it. Totally trust it. It's about the fear of letting go of the past, the fear of change, the fear of experiencing death. Stones across our tomb. But the story says the angels rolled away the stone, blocking Jesus' tomb. And the angels represent our godlike thoughts, our affirmative thoughts. We either roll the stone over the entry with negativity, or we roll it away with positive, loving thoughts. Thoughts of eternal life, even. For those of us, as we get older, that comes up every once in a while. So today is Easter, and we celebrate our renewal, our personal resurrection, from living in tombs of negativity to positively, spiritually rich and courageous lives. That's the freshness of spring. Because we'll never be any more immortal than we are right now. The soul goes on forever. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is our life now. So this morning we'll be inviting you to accept one of these flowers and let it awaken and expand your awareness of how precious life is. Your body, your affairs, your experiences are expressions of your spiritual awareness. Good news, not so good news. On your road to great news. So we invite you to continue improving that connection with God, improving that we're all in this life together. We're moving forward. We're evolving. How you use your mind is the creative power. How you use it is in your mind. So resurrect new thought. Let go of old ideas. The vision of the resurrection story is not about eternity, but it's how we do life every day. Because if you're here, you're supposed to be here. If you're here, you have a purpose. Amen. And it's really greater than you know. That's why you're evolving into it. As we strive to live the characteristics of God, we automatically take care of eternity. I never thought of that before. If I'm striving to express the characteristics of God, I'm already projecting those characteristics for me into eternity. It's taken care of. Check. Check. So surrender any dead ideas. And you know which ones those are. They probably come from some time ago. Choose the flower and let the stone roll away. and let the light of God shine into your heart. Let that entrance to the cave stand open, and let everyone see that even with a flower, you are awakening, you are blossoming. You are walking away from limitation, from fear, and from anxiety. So this morning we take a flower and we walk into the light. And it's a world filled with the shepherd's love. Then inhale the sweetness of the flower and give thanks. For as the poem said, God gave us eyes to see the beauty of the spring and to behold your majesty in every living thing. We see in lacy leaves and every budding flower the hand that rules the universe with gentleness and power. Today we dispel anxiety and fear, and we let go of despair, and we bring our thoughts to love and joy, knowing we are always in the shepherd's care. And so it is. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mary. She's breathing deeply because she's done. It's nice to look at all of you, bright. So what I appreciate about some of the messages in Reverend Mary's talk to you had to do with the symbols that we recognize that have been, the story's been told over and over again to many of us since our upbringing, the story of Jesus and the story of his journey in life and his ending of life. And we want to focus on that glory of knowing that when the stone was rolled away, as she expressed so beautifully, what was revealed in that moment? What does that symbolize? And yes, the eternality of a soul, but also so much happens in that moment, so much revelation, so much understanding on all the people that were part of that story. So every story, every symbol is a message to us to take deeply, just like our dreams. We dream something and we think, what does that mean? And we can't quite go to another book and find out what the symbol meant to somebody else. What's it mean to you? What does it mean to you? So I bring to you another piece of the story, and that's the cross. What does the cross mean to you? Does it make you comfortable? Does it make you question the torture of the cross? Does it bring hope? Does it bring spirituality and a deep centeredness? Because the cross can mean many things. So I had fun exploring, what's the cross? What does the cross mean? And there was a metaphysical interpretation. And we're looking at the crystallization of two currents of thought happening here. The divine influence that flows through us, as us, always giving its gift. And then that other process of thought, which we do with it. It moves through our center of consciousness, through the subconscious, and becomes an outpicturing as we express ourself out into the world, and we become that cross, that demonstration of humanity and divinity. You see that? Kind of a whole different idea of a cross, the state of consciousness. And what are we deciding to do with that? There's a beautiful idea of the cross symbolizing spirituality and healing. Spirituality and healing. What is moving through us to be healed? Because there is a divine truth, a divine knowing of an absolute perfection. And just as Mary stated with great faith, that there is a greater good unfolding right here, right now, in our lifetime. And yeah, we're questioned along the way. That is good. That is the truth. The truth is that which is moving through to a greater good being expressed, carried by the flow and the energy of love. So spirituality and healing, there's always like points to the cross that can represent self, and then the divine nature and wisdom, this higher power of being. So I love that idea of this vertical attunement to the divine, to feel that I have the opportunity, when I really stand in my truth, in the truth with the big capital T, and have no doubt, and my heart is open to that, and then whatever is the cross current going through my consciousness in that moment, there it is. What do I choose to do with it? Do I choose to put the boulders in front of the altar of my heart so that I cannot see the light of understanding? So that the tomb and the cross become two very important symbols at this time of year of the Easter. And we see other ideas that the cross can represent transition. I love the idea of the cross of balance. I like the idea that, I was talking at the first service, that we have our cross right behind me. That there it is, in perfect balance, the divine and our walk with the divine as we hold our arms wide open to the world and to what comes towards us. We're brave. We're brave in this teaching because we stay open at the top and willing and yielding in the heart. And we carry the truth. And a lot is asked of us when we stand in alignment with that, when we attune ourselves to that symbol, when we allow our hearts to open to that wisdom. So here we have the idea of balance and faith and unity, hope, life, all these beautiful words that point us to the relationship that we can have, the connection to something greater than our smaller sense of self. And in the Christian symbols, it was one of the earliest, most widely used symbols. And it often represents the faith path of Christianity itself. And it represented and memorialized Christ's death at that time. But then so many symbols, the Native Americans have the symbol that's perfect like this, perfect in balance for all of the elements, earth, air, fire, water. And so you've got this idea of the cross symbol showing up in nature. Everything has a vertical line pointing to the divine, and then outbranching arms reaching to its greater potential. I love that when I think about a leaf having that as well. So do our crossbars reach up into the heavens, or down to the earth? It's how you position and carry the cross within you, the divine and the human. And so I appreciate this reminder at this time of year of some of the representation that the story of Jesus on the cross represents to us. I mean, we have so much soul time to really delve into forgiveness, right? Forgive them, they know not what they do. Courage, faith, humility, yielding and willingness, love, devotion. All of these attributes are brought to the forefront. And we're saying, well, that's the story out there. How do I carry the story in me? What is my story? So today we look at this cross as spirituality and healing. The 4 points representing also the nature, the wisdom, and the higher power of being. So see where you are in the transitions in your life. Ask at this time, at this beautiful spring of your life, am I in balance with all the opportunities that are before me? Am I making the right and perfect choices for my well-being, for my health, for my vitality, for my truth? And in that vertical line, pointing towards what is my spiritual ideal? And am I reaching my ideal? Am I holding a sense of purity of heart and expression and beauty? Am I allowing my journey in humanity to be filled with this innocence and this pure intention? Or am I letting some boulders come before me where my ego starts to be tainted with pride, with conceit, with jealousy or envy, with contempt, all the kinds of feelings that take these wide arms of the divine and start to close us in and start to wrap us in entanglement of suffering. And the divine is just continually whispering, dear one, open your arms, open your heart, and take away the boulders. Watch yourself. What are your feelings behind your thoughts that are manifesting the experiences out into your world? So let the symbol today, just kind of walk with it and see it around in your world. And know that many faith places today have that as their totem, this cross. Some with Jesus on the cross, some with material of purple draped upon the cross. Everything is a symbolic meaning. And sometimes we just get so used to looking at the thing, we forget the truth itself. So just explore in your own way and find your own hope. Feel the relationship and your need to connect to something that is so much greater. And Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my teachers, get an Easter letter each year from the organization. And I love this saying of Yogananda, let this be the day of your Christ awakening. You can practice this resurrection every day in your life. Forget your old weaknesses and troubles. Forget them. Just think, Christ was resurrected. I am resurrected with him. I am no longer my old self. Do we have the courage, that amount of courage and discipline to allow this transformation to take place in our consciousness, to expand our life and our caring out into the world? Yogananda also said, with every kindness, with every good action that you perform, you are being resurrected, and you are immediately in tune with the Christ divine consciousness. How deeply are you touched by the compassion that is called forth in the world events today? Are you staying awake? Are you keeping the boulders of your heart removed so you really feel it? You really weep with the suffering and then rise and say, what can I do? I can stay awake. I can align myself with the divine and say, what is mine to do here with this? May I not turn away or shut down, but may I be resurrected to the true self today, to know that there's a purpose. There is a purpose for me. And so we invite you, as you do the flower ceremony at the very end of our service, this is a ritual, and it's an invitation for you to walk forward, to feel the sense of what has it been like in my world, to walk in my path, to walk on my journey with the various aspects of my suffering, my ways of holding my heart tight, and what do I want to put down and resurrect that is the greatest truth. And so, as I shared with the earlier service, these flowers, they have a purpose. You see, they're bold in their color. And yesterday, when we were putting them in the buckets, they spoke to us. Their colors were vibrant, and we were so careful with them, and so excited about who would get which one, which color would be the one that your hand of the divine is drawn to as a symbol of your greater awakening. So when you choose your color, when you choose your moment of this, remember all of the divine qualities. What do you want in this lifetime? Ask for it. Ask for the qualities of companionship, joy, friendship, healing. What is it that you want? And let the flower represent the divine speaking back to you, my beloved, this gift of color and brightness I have grown from seed for you to receive in this divine appointed moment. You're going to do the walk. And we're going to hold that consciousness of knowing that for you, that pure truth for you. Ernest Holmes says, now suppose there were at the center of the being of each one of us a clear channel to the infinite, which is forever pouring out through us in a unique way. Because it never does two things alike, nor does it ever repeat itself. Somewhere at the center of our being, should we properly use it, would be that thing we would all like to be. It's here. We know by divine appointment, it's right here at the very center of our being. We're certain to be happy, well, and prosperous and successful. It is certain to be established in peace, to experience joy, to know life. It is certain. If it is understood and permitted and cultivated to bless everything that it touches, this would be our influence on our environment. You see, what you take today, what gift you take today is a symbol of your purpose. It's a symbol of what this spring, what this renewal means to you. What are you going to resurrect within you to take out into the world? You're not going to try to dominate anyone with this truth or control them. He goes on to say, it's an influence that irresistibly will bring back a greater affection, a greater love. Wow. All by being the courageous one to walk forward, to pass the ministers and the practitioners, to knowing they only see you as the bright truth. So there's so much to say about the cross. There's so much to say about what Easter means. And some of those stories we've heard over and over again, but I invite you today to just take the truth. The Lord is your shepherd, the Lord of your heart. The divine will tell you. Isn't that wonderful? You don't have to do anything but receive today. So join with me as Judy plays the keys. A prayer that begins from Yogananda about the resurrection. Heavenly Father, I am resurrected with the Christ consciousness into thine omnipresence. I am resurrected from the smallness of family affection into the grandeur of love for all, thy creatures, the nature, all around me, this love for all. I am resurrected from ignorance into thy internal wisdom. I am resurrected from all worldly desires into a state of desire for you alone. I am resurrected from longing for human love, for I yearn only now for the divine love. I am one with the Christ today. I am one with thee. I am one. We feel as we walk our walk that we bear the cross of truth, that the divine and our humanness are appointed at this time in our life to resurrect the deep qualities of the divine and to continue to be the one that whispers boldly this truth. Each one of us, as we experience our life, our world, our challenges and our joys, we are witness to this truth. And the cross we hold is free of all restrictions and centered into the divine consciousness of the Absolute, which is love. So I give thanks for those who chose today to wake up and to be immersed in a world of color and vibrancy, and to call this in to the very depths of the soul. so we become the walk, the talk of love and truth. Thank you for this divine knowing, for the beautiful music today, for the lovely children, for the feast in the social hall, for the fellowship as we lean in to one another and connect our hearts as one. This day is a holy day. This day is a blessed day. And I give thanks for all that there is. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you.